Hi, welcome back to FutureFast. And for those of you who are here for the first time, FutureFast is an effort to bring people such as Machayya who are doing things that are bound to have a impact in the future. And the idea of these conversations are to understand how are they looking at addressing the potential opportunities or challenges in the future, and perhaps we could take some pointers that could help us in our own businesses. And since you are here for the first time, obviously you missed the first part of Machayya's conversation with us, and I sincerely urge you to look it up to get an understanding of his journey, which should be, which I think it's very interesting. I'm sure you will enjoy it, and also it will help you connect with what you're going to hear in this part of the conversation. Having said that, so Machayya, thank you so much for joining us,
Yeah.
for sharing your present. What is it that you're doing? So, with that, can you please start? Share where are you today? I think last you told us about your publishing journey, and I think we just talked about it at the point of COVID. So you
Yes.
exited that business, right?
Yes.
You sold it.
Yes. Yes.
So
So
that is where you
I,
should probably start. Yeah.
yeah. So I decided at that moment of time. Well, I had done enough in my life. I had peaked in. I was good in sports. I was good in this. So I said enough. Now I go back to my land, ancestral land, and do some farming or something like that. Then there was some people who had heard about me here, and specifically I would like to talk about one person called as
Here as in in
Bangalore.
Coorg,
In
in
Bangalore,
Bangalore.
Bangalore.
Okay.
And specifically, I would like to talk about mention one person by name Pant Mannappa.
Okay.
Now, Pant has always been wanting to do something for the native land, original Coorg, wherever, because we all had moved out of Coorg, and he called me and he called some of us else who were all in Bangalore and elsewhere, and said, "Let's start something in Coorg." And thanks to Pant's insistence, I ended up in Coorg. So, what do you do in Coorg? So I told them, look, whatever we have to do, we have to think big and not small. So we said, Pant said we could do a lot of export from Coorg, the spices and other things. So basically, we said we first got to reach the farmers for that. So to reach the farmers, yeah.
Sorry, voice got lost. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. Pant said we have to reach the farmers, and to reach the farmers, one of the things is to give them their daily supplies. So it was exactly when this COVID came, when I had exited from my previous company. We called it Interline Publishing, had moved to Digital Bookstores because we are digital, and we had exited from that. And Pan said we can join in. So I joined in. We created a company called Kodagu Trade and Commerce Private Limited, which is headquartered in Virajpet, a very, very rural area with a population of less than 15,000. And we hope that it will perpetually be headquartered in a rural area. So we started the first rural-centered home delivery mechanism, just like Flipkart or Amazon, but rural-centered completely. And we would deliver on the top of the hill, somebody's house where you want to go there, you need a four-wheel jeep or something like that. We would still go there and deliver free of cost. So we built a lot of goodwill, and this is thanks to vision of Pan. And I played a role of I'm one of the directors, founding directors, but my role was more into strategy and building technology for it. So now, of course, that has taken off well, and doing fairly well now. We're looking at exports and other things from there.
What is it called?
It is called Kodagu Trade and Commerce. The popular name of that is Cat Kodagu. So Cat means it has two things. One is Kodagu Trade and Commerce. So commerce and trade Kodagu. If you read it, it becomes Cat Kodagu. So it becomes catkodagu.com. Okay. And also cat has got another thing because, the world's most expensive coffee comes from the wild cat, civet cat, which swallows the coffee and then it passes out as motion. Then it is washed or dried and it sells at some 100 times the cost of the normal coffee at, a couple of $1,000, I'm told, per pound. So cat had his own thing, and so it became cat Kodagu, and now we are all known as cat Kodagu. So we are all known as cats, in fact.
Okay.
Okay. So that is one part of the thing that is going on well.
And I'm just
And
curious, what is the average age of this team, of the founders?
yeah, Pant, actually, we come from diverse backgrounds. Okay. I come from publishing, Pant comes from alternate energy. Then the senior most is Mr. Kavirappa, was actually a President's Award winner for public relations. He comes from the DRDO background. We have auditors. And the youngest is, I think, Sharan Punucha at 33 years. So Kavirappa is at 65 plus. Pant is slightly younger to him. And Sharan is at 33. So between 33 and 66, we have got everybody.
So
There are
looks
11
like
of us
it's more
between the age of
heavy on
33
the
and
50 plus.
only 4 of us are 50 plus. Others are all under 50.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What,
Only
40
4 of
plus?
us are 50 plus. But we all came. I don't know if others consider us, but we thought we are fairly successful outside Bangalore, outside Kurg, outside Kodagu, and we should contribute something to Kodagu. With the contribution in the sense, a lot of people do, they contribute in terms of building some infrastructure and all. We thought we had to give some intellectual contribution. And because I come from a technology background, now I have to say I'm a technology background. I have literally nothing to do with MSc zoology stuff. I come from a technology background, but we could not build a tech team in Kurg. We tried. The boys and the girls, they get trained and then they leave for jobs in Bangalore. So that was one problem we had. And that problem, again, we solved it. All this problem solving needs a bit of lateral thinking. So we have an architect in Bangalore who sits and designs it. So we spoke to Kaveri College in Goninkupa there, and they have a BCA department. And we went and I gave a presentation to the teaching faculty there, and I spoke to the secretary and the principal of the institution. I said, how about we convert you guys into developers? And we said, we told the college it can be profit sharing. Your students learn, your faculty learns. And we are not talking about what is in the syllabus. We are talking about cutting edge technology. Whatever is released today, we are going to be working on those things. And so our development team is going to be now the Kaveri College BCA staff, and the students who are going to, and the students who are going to get live experience outside the syllabus. They're going to be working on live projects, completely outside the syllabus, and they're going to be working on projects which is absolutely, bleeding edge, cutting edge, total, including AI, ChatGPT, and all those things. So that's what we are doing now. So if this model works, then we are going to be having a substantial technology team in a rural area. And if this works, then we will take this model to other rural areas, like Chikmagalur, Hassan. So it will be growing from Kodagu in an organic way for the surrounding districts. So now, so we hope to build. See, the whole idea was, I'll tell you why we started Kodagu Trade and Commerce. We did a study. It's a very interesting study. It started by me. I was sitting in my friend's shop in my village, Murnad, and I asked him, how many youngsters do we have in the village? So youngsters in the sense, two conditions. One is they should be between the age of 20 to 30, working age, and they should be native population. Native population meaning they should not have come from Assam for work and then we have these youngsters there, from Kerala, from somewhere. They are not considered. 100% native population between the age of 20 to 30 in my village. Murnad is a population of about 5,000 people. So since he's a shopkeeper and he knows everybody personally, he actually counted and he said 17 people are there. 17.
Okay.
That's a very bad sign.
Out of 5,000?
Only 17
out of 5,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Only 17 people are
Sorry, I lost your voice again. Can you, yeah, can you speak something?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, your voice is back. Can you repeat that? That part was
Yeah,
completely
there are
lost.
call coming. So out of
Okay.
5,000 and odd people, there are only 17 people natives between the age of 20 to 30. So below the age of 20, they are students. It's okay. Okay, between to 20 to 30 are working group. That means they all migrated to Bangalore, Mysore, somewhere. Now, it set me off to thinking, and I discussed this problem with Pant Manapa at a later stage. The reason is, this is not the reason for Kodagu district alone. This is the reason throughout the country. Reason is, bulk of the land is held by large landholders. Okay, for example, in Kodagu, it is held by Tatas and Evolve Back and other groups, who between them might be owning about 15, 20,000 acres of land. And many of the natives, they actually are small landholders, between 2 to 5 acres.
Right.
Okay. Now, this 2 to 5 acre people cannot survive out of their land. So they move out. They come to Bangalore. Now, when you come to Bangalore or Mysore or Mumbai or anywhere, you earn probably 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees salary, whatever, which is not good enough for them to lead a decent life. Many of them come and become gunmen here and all those things, or some security, they start working, or they will start working in call centers. And at 20,000 rupees, probably 10,000 or something goes for rent. And they have no money to come back to Coorg also decently. This is the same situation whether you go to Mumbai, you probably stay in Dharawal. Okay. That's the way it is. So we told, now this 20,000 rupee, 25,000 rupees salary is something that we can give them in Kodagu Trade and Commerce. So if we employ even 10 locals, we are stopping those 10 locals from coming to Bangalore. So what happens is those 10 locals, they stay in the native land, look after the property, look after their parents. And also this income, whatever they're earning in Kodagu Trade and Commerce, becomes a additional income. So this was a successful model. In fact, this is one of the singular reasons why the local population began to support us. Because they
How large is your team now?
We have a team of about 20 people right now.
And how many employees?
Not that employees I'm talking. We're talking about employees.
20 employees, all local?
All local.
So,
in fact, our
okay.
rule is very simple. Suppose we have a setup in Virajpet and we have one in Chattalli and one in Kakkabe and we are opening in Gonikoppa. So in Kakkabe, we take people from Kakkabe area only. We don't ask people from Napukul to migrate there. So in Virajpet, we want to employ local Virajpet people, so who can travel in easily. They stay in their estate or whatever, come here, go back in the thing, and they want a day off or something. They want a harvest season, they want some days off. So we tell them you work throughout the year and that season you take off.
So you don't have any need to ask for their biodata either, as in what is their academic background, nothing matters.
No, we train them.
So their academic background is
academic background is too useful because one critical condition is they should be able to speak at least 3 or 4 languages.
Okay. What languages are they?
That is because, let's say in Virajpet, for example, okay, if you take the case of Virajpet, what are the languages spoken there? The languages spoken in Virajpet include Kodagu language, Kannada, Malayalam, little bit of English, and sometimes even Hindi because of the labor class. So at least they should know, if you're in Virajpet, you should know Kodagu language, you should know Malayalam, you should know Kannada, and a smattering of Hindi. This is mandatory. Okay, suppose you're somewhere near Madikeri and beyond, you may have to know Tulu also because that Sulia influence will be there.
No, so, but tell me something, only Kannada won't help? I'm just curious.
It won't help. It will not help.
Wow. And this is a rural part of Karnataka.
Yeah, it's a rural part of Karnataka, but your viewers may not know this, but in Coorg, Kodagu, the culture is totally different from rest of the country. Because
see, everyone who speaks Kodawa will be able to speak Kannada anyway. But yes, who is it that who will not be able to speak Kannada?
In Virajpet, a lot of Malayalis are there who don't speak Kannada.
They live there or they just come for a few days and go?
You and the people who live there do not know that. Because
they can,
they can survive the whole life without ever learning Kannada there, or Kodagu language or anything. Because I think about 20-25% of the population are Malayalis. So they don't need it.
It's become 20-25%?
Yes,
Wow.
easily. Yeah, easily. So in Kodagu, what happens is you've got the Mangalore culture, you've got the Kerala culture, one side, Virajpet belt.
But Mangalore, again, they will anyway speak Kannada, right? Even from Surya side.
They speak Kannada.
Tulu would be more a comfort, like for a Kodava to speak Kodava would be a comfort. But Kannada should do, but only here you say.
They speak Kannada. Then when you come to Kushalnagar belt, you'll have the Mysore culture. So you have all these things put up there, So basically, to make people comfortable, you need to know more than 2 languages, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, you need to know more than 2 languages. And today, English is also becoming almost a lingua franca there. Everybody seems to be they work from home. So English is a big thing.
All right. So there are a lot of people who have moved back.
Yes.
While they live there, they continue to work for their companies in the city.
So we started this operation at 2020. And when COVID was there, and everybody happy because they could talk to us in their language, be it the things are delivered in their house. And so we built up a good rapport. And then we started selling their local produce of coconut, and some people started making their homemade jams, homemade chocolates. There are these associations, self-help groups. They came up, they said, can we put your products? So homemade chocolates, homemade jams, homemade squashes, all these things.
So what is the percentage of local produce out of your sales that you sell?
Local produce will be about 10% today, which is substantial. And this 10%.
So do you think it will grow? It will increase?
I think it will grow because we are building the technology now where we are right now building the technology which even the local NABARD people have shown interest, even Bangalore people have shown interest, where, there are about 10,000 FPOs in the country. We're building the technology where the FPOs can talk to each other. So a product made in Nagaland will be available in Virajpet. So this is something.
Have you considered ONDC integration into your system?
Yes.
So what's your take on ONDC?
Even the government thought about it. We had already built the skeleton for the platform, which would actually link up specifically the FPOs.
Right. So, but are you also integrating ONDC? Is it helpful? What's your take on that?
Yes, we are integrating that. Okay. We're still studying that. We're still studying it, but we'll be integrating it because as a government initiative like UPI, you're not going to live without that.
Right.
We've
had one other friend who was also a guest here called Anup Pai. He's also an investor, but he runs a company called eSamudai. So they have built this kind of a platform, and they were one of the first set of 5 or 7 players to collaborate with ONDC in building the system. So they give you that integration to ONDC, and it works pretty much in the decentralized model. So perhaps you should look at it. And those of you in the audience,
yes,
I'll be happy to connect. And even for those in the audience, if you have not looked up a conversation with Anup, even in this context, it helps to look up that as well. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So that's about what we're doing here. And thanks to my experience in multiple areas, I was also asked to mentor some startups, basically from Jinsur. And then we started off thinking the startups have got a very core problem of about how to raise funds. So to enable startups to raise funds, now what we are with a couple of friends, what we are doing is what we are talking about. We have built something called Hyphen. So what is Hyphen? Growth is of course apparent. We enable growth. Now, when you write and you want to explain something, which is in context but not in continuation of your subject, you put a hyphen, explain it, put a comma, and then continue. So that hyphen gives that missing link.
I remember you had also started something to teach English. What was it
Yes,
called?
that was it is on basically in grammar. That's about 25 years back.
Right.
I don't know, I forgot about it.
I mean, when you were explaining Hyphen, that thought came to
Yeah. Even there, it was a missing link, But now we said, because I keep telling people, I say something called Shah Rukh Khan syndrome.
what is
I
that?
tell them, look, if you go to our district, Kodagu, and look at the males around, almost everybody is taller than Shah Rukh Khan, better looking, bigger voice, and definitely better dancers, because these guys dance from the day they are born. Uh, but they don't become Shah Rukh Khan. Out of 1.4 billion Indians, only one person can be called Shah Rukh Khan. So
Right.
what makes Shah Rukh Khan Shah Rukh Khan? There is a X factor. There's a missing link which somebody put it there. At his initial career, there was Hema Malini who pulled him up. There was Mirza, whatever, the director of those days. There
Right,
are a couple of people who actually took him up. So
So
we
they
want to
kind of catapult his career, but
yes.
I mean, not to belittle his hard work, but
No, not to belittle his hard work or talent.
right.
Okay. But what I'm
But
telling
yeah,
is,
it helps
despite
to
hard
have
work,
those angels around who
yes.
help you fly and stay afloat.
Yeah, absolutely. If hard work and talent alone were to make you the king, then
Correct.
it was very easy. Okay.
So
Unless
that is
you have
what growth hyphen does, in the
yes,
sense,
that's what growth
play the
hyphen
role of an angel for startups.
startups, to pull them up, show them the route, to show them the direction, orient them, because every startup thinks,
So is this
including
focused at Coorg, or is it
no,
open for
this is from Bangalore, but it's focused for everywhere. And
any startup from
yes,
anywhere?
any startup,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
This is
Okay.
this
And
is for
any
any startup.
specific sector you're looking at? Is it for startups in this sector or this domain, or is it open for any?
No, for example, I am very comfortable with edutech because I've been in education, agri-tech because I come from a family of 1,000 years who have been in agriculture, food tech, and maybe sports because I come from a family of reasonably well-established sportsmen and women. Okay, but then I have got friends. Maybe I'll ask you to join also to to help people come up in other sectors. You could be a specialist in something and somebody else is specialist in something else.
So
So
essentially, sector agnostic. No matter which sector,
yeah,
pretty
it is
much they
completely
can
sector agnostic. We'll always find the right manpower
to
to enable these
help them
people.
with their problem.
Yeah.
Right. And what
Mhm.
stage should the startup be to be calling on to growth
In
hyphen?
fact, what I tell the startups is, I don't even want your presentation, pitch deck, or anything like that. I'm telling them that, look, please write a small 500 page essay, 500 word essay on what you're doing, and we'll decide on how to go about it. That is to say that
No,
we
that is
hand over them from idea
fine.
stage.
That is fine. How to apply, but what stage should they be? Can they be an idea stage, or should
From
they
idea
have a
stage.
prototype, or
No,
should
no,
they
no.
be
From idea stage.
pre-revenue, post-revenue?
No, from idea stage. We take it down from idea stage.
Idea stage to up to what? Can they also
Up
be
to
somebody who
funding.
already
Up to
got
funding.
started?
Up to
No,
funding.
no. To reach, to apply for, they are past the idea stage. They've already got started. They've started selling, but they still think they need help.
They
So
can
what
they can
stage
apply
can
it, they can apply it any stage. They can apply it idea
any
stage.
stage?
They can apply. Okay, they have even done that
Even
MVP stage.
post-revenue company can come up and say,
Yes,
listen, I
even
have a small
post-revenue
revenue,
companies.
but I still need help.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So idea to
Because
post-revenue, anybody,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Just because I find that in my experience, where there have been so many hundreds of startups with me when you're all looking for funding and all. Even for us, when you're looking for funding, there is nobody to actually tell us this is the way you have to go about doing things. Although NASCOM did help us a lot, they put us to a lot of talks. There were a lot of people, but nobody said, "Okay, I'm not just giving you the talk. I'm just holding your hand today and I'm taking you out." Nobody did that. So we want to do that. We want to actually hold them up and say, "Look, now you're missing the thing here. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to take this thing, and let us go like this, like this, like this, like this, like this." At any time they want to backward, they can backward. But we are telling them that we'll take you till the funding stage, and after the funding stage comes, yes, you're on your way. You're on your way. That's
Right.
it.
Right. So here, see, it is very understandable at a idea stage, the funds requirement is obviously smaller. But if somebody is coming at a post-revenue stage, so what kind of funding I mean, if someone comes in and say, I already have some revenue, but I'm looking at X amount, what would that X amount be? Up to what? What is the cap? Is it 2 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore?
No, that depends. We'll have to study the project properly. We have to realize this
No,
is
I
what
mean, for a startup to consider coming to growth hyphen, if I'm a post-revenue company and I have, I'm looking at a valuation. Let's say I'm looking at a valuation of 10 crore. Can I qualify to apply where I'm looking for 1 crore funding, or can I apply for my valuation? I'm looking at it at 100 crore and looking at, say, 15 crore funding, which is close to $2 million. Can I also apply?
Yes, of course you can.
What is the cap?
Yes.
So up to
No,
what
there's no
point in?
There is no cap for that. There's no cap.
No cap for that.
No cap.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because every startup
You have
believes
also got a network of investors coming from different sizes,
Yes,
so
yes,
it
yes,
is
yes.
not really a limiting factor from what is the
It's not
fund
a
they're taking.
limiting factor. No, there's no
Right.
limiting factor. There's no limiting
But
factor.
having said that, Growth Hyphen, is it an investment banker, or like you said that you're not an investment banker, but you actually handhold them and make them fundable and then get funding?
Yeah, we are not investment banker. We are not investment banker. We are just
Right.
hand-holding them to take them to a particular level.
So effectively, handholding means there is a lot of intervention, right? There's a lot of
Yes.
time contribution. So, so how do you get benefited? I mean, what do you take? Is there a fee? Is there a sign-up fee, sign-on from a startup that they need to pay, and or is it exclusively only equity, or what kind of it?
No, it will be exclusively equity only. It will be
So
exclusively
to start,
equity.
say as a startup, if I come, I don't have to pay anything.
No, you don't need to pay anything.
But then, how do you estimate how much of equity should be?
No,
should I be considering to?
We are talking between 4 to 5% once they get funding. Okay, so that's a game like.
So is a 4 to 5% equity is the 4 to 5% of my company if I'm the applicant, or is the 4 to 5% of the amount invested?
No, of your company.
So independent of whatever is the funding raised, 4 to 5% of the entity.
Yes, because we will hold their hands till they get the second round of funding.
Well, wonderful. So just to bring a little more clarity, perhaps, to our audience and listeners. So, 4 to 5% equity, perhaps for a idea stage company, may look easy, right? It's not too complex. 4 to 5%, because anyway, I just have an idea. So, any money I get, I can potentially think of offering. But somebody who's already in a post-revenue company, I've already got the company to our next stage. So from that point, 4 to 5%, if it is the same percentage for an idea stage. So do you have some differential proposition for somebody at the idea stage to somebody at a post-revenue stage?
We are quite plastic on these things. Okay. We are not very rigid about it.
Okay. So on a case-to-case,
on a case to case. Basically, we work between 4 to 5%.
So don't get frightened if you think it is way too much. Just reach out, have a conversation. Coordinates are below this podcast. So
yes,
shoot a mail, fill up that application. Perhaps we'll give a link to the application form as well, Machayya.
Yeah, sure.
We can. So there is a link there. So please look up, apply, engage in the conversation, then take a call. So don't be thinking, oh, I don't want to be giving 4 to 5%. Just reach out. Just reach
out. Yes.
Right. So fantastic. So in this context, I think in both the context, right? One is that about the Kur cat, right? Or Kodagu cat.
Cat Kodagu.
Cat Kodagu. Cat Kodagu as a hyperlocal delivery business, which is started off in Kodagu or Kurg, as with multiple towns that you got started and expanding further on, and you're looking at expanding into various other districts, and then the Growth Hyphen, which is focused at is it the same team of Cat Kodagu? It's a different team.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, nobody from Cat Kodagu is involved in Growth Hyphen.
Other than you, okay.
Yeah, other than me,
Right. So, so in these two contexts, what do you see the future to be? What do you think are the challenges, threats? How do you see the challenges, and how do you think you're preparing? I think one you did mention from the CAT Kodagu point of view that you're already preparing on building a technology to stitch all the farmer producer organization, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So and also talked about you're evaluating ONDC from a point of integration. Perhaps they'll also connect you to Anup and see how
Yes.
you can explore that.
Yes.
So from the expansion, you obviously see an opportunity, but how do you see the future in this context? What are the challenges, threats, opportunities?
The challenges and threats are the threat is basically there are there are people like Reliance and other big players who have their marks, okay, and maybe we can't challenge them in terms of price, okay, but the biggest opportunity we have got is Reliance is not going to be there in a place like Paradise with 1,500 population or less than that. Okay, we are delivering there. We deliver there, and if necessary, we'll get the local person to have a franchisee with us and work only on the Paradise belt. Okay, so this is the huge opportunity for us because
Paradise is a village in Kurg.
It's a very tiny village, about 9 kilometers from Virajpet.
Yeah, just for the benefit of the audience to
Yeah.
get a context.
It's a
Parane belt, you said, so I thought let's just put a context to that.
Okay, it's a very small village. See, in especially in the what happens is, see, there are in India there are two types of villages. Okay, most of India has villages in the sense village is a geographical location where everybody's got their house and the shops and their farmlands are away from that. But that's typical village that you see in movies and other things. But in the hilly regions, whether it's Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, or belts in Assam or in the Vindhyas or anywhere, the villages are never like that. The people stay actually in their farms. So the distances are huge.
Between houses.
Yeah, between the houses.
So houses are not in a cluster like a traditional village in the flatlands.
Yes. Yes. So unless you have a local connect, absolutely local connect, a large conglomerate like Reliance or somebody may not be able to reach out.
So and may not work out, may not be economically viable for them, right? To be addressing such
yes, it's not economically viable.
Markets, yeah.
Yes, it's not economically viable for them.
But will it be viable for CAT Kodagu then?
Yeah,
how
it is
will
viable.
It make it viable?
We have found that
you
it is
operate
viable.
in a very small percentage?
No, it's not just we operate in a small. The percentages are good. Okay, it is viable basically because if you really looked at the economic scenario of the country in the last 40, 50 years, there have been recession, there have been job losses, everything. But if you go to a rural area and ask them anywhere in India, what's a recession, they don't know about it. Because there has never been a recession in rural sector in the last 25 years. In fact, the rural sector has consistently shown year-on-year growth. Today,
when you say growth in what?
Growth in revenues. Growth in
revenue out of
GDP,
what?
GDP. The spending power.
Spending
power.
Has
Yes.
seen a year-on-year growth of 8%?
No, the year-on-year growth of about 4%. Consistently. It has been consistent.
Across the rural India?
No, across the rural India. COVID came 2019-20, it didn't affect them a little bit. In fact, their economy went up because a lot of people went down to the villages and their economy actually boomed there. And we have found that the aspiration, thanks to the TVs and the movies and everything, the aspiration of the rural class actually outpaces that of the urban thing. They want to use the best deodorant, they want to use the latest toothpaste, hair dye. You'll be surprised that the quantum of hair dye that we sell is huge. People want to look young and they want to look nice. They may be going to farm. Okay, in the evening they want to look nice. After bath they want to look nice.
So gray is not acceptable, is it?
Gray is not acceptable. I am respected because I still have gray. Personally, the people would want themselves to have gray.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a huge thing. I mean, this is the market that now the larger companies, P&G and everybody, HUL, they have realized this. They have realized this. In fact, HUL has got his one distribution point. HUL has got a dedicated distribution point in Virajpet. Virajpet is not any major place. So it's got, because their goods sell. Their goods
HUL
sell.
is Hindustan Unilever. It's
Unilever,
the
yes.
India arm of Unilever.
Yes, yes. Okay. So because the goods sell. So the aspiration of the villagers is very high. And suppose you can reach it to their house, there's nothing like that.
But what is the average consumer spend in these areas?
It's the same thing as urban.
Are
It's
you
absolutely
saying?
the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. Because I know the people, the average of family spends about 5,000-6,000 rupees a month on other things other than just food and things, which is fairly high, very high. It's very high. In fact, it's higher than urban areas, I would think. They buy the best of shampoos. They come, they buy everything. In fact, if
Do
you
you
go,
also operate on the Swiggy space, as in ready to
no,
eat
no, we
food
don't.
delivery?
No,
You
we are
don't do
not
that.
into the food delivery business at all. We are not into that at all.
Okay.
We deliver groceries.
Okay.
That's
And
it.
you see average spend of on groceries in rural is as much as in
Yes,
an
it is
urban
as
area
much as
like
it.
Bangalore, or
Yes,
urban
yes.
like Mysore?
No, urban areas like Bangalore.
Wow. Okay.
Urban areas like Bangalore, it is.
But this
It's
would
very high.
motivate. Okay, but the
For
number
example,
volume would be less, right?
if you go to Gonikoppa, I mean, I think there are 6 supermarkets.
Mhm.
6 supermarkets in a town that has got only one road. And in that single road, all the supermarkets are there. And I'm not talking about some local guy coming and producing a thing.
One
I'm talking,
road, as in that state highway.
yes, on that one road
I
you
mean,
got 6
there are
supermarkets.
smaller crossroads, but yeah, one
Yeah,
big state
one
highway.
big road, in that you have that.
Right.
You know, that's it, because people buy. People buy. We seem to be missing out that point. People do buy. Rural market is the next big thing.
No, but tell me
Agriculture.
something. I always thought rural India would still like to go and buy themselves, because that is one part of connectivity with the outside world, right? Particularly since, something coming from the Western Ghats and Coorg, where each houses are so disparately located. For them, any socializing is actually shopping. They come to
Yes,
the market, they actually meet their neighbor in the market, because neighbor, you just can't talk to them across the compound because it's huge. I mean, they live so far away, they have to call each other on a phone to talk. So
yes,
marketing, shopping is one socializing activity. So in such a space, do you see cat Kodagu makes sense for them?
yeah. See, what happens is, when we are telling about rural population having urban aspirations, it is not just in using material that is used in the urban population. It is not just in using some high-end toothpaste or high-end shampoo or hair dye or something like that. In the urban sector, the rural people also know that there is something called Amazon or Flipkart who come and deliver things at home. Okay. In the rural sector, when you're talking about having aspirations to live like in the urban sectors,
No,
your
but
aspirations also include.
see, but it is obviously a convenience factor, but most importantly, the convenience comes from a need
No, no,
because of the
it's not. It's
time.
not a convenience factor alone. It's not a convenience factor alone. It is okay.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not a convenience factor alone. It's also a bragging factor. You know, uh,
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
I had my toothpaste delivered home because
Okay.
yeah, we miss this. We all think it's not like TV advertisement. Like, okay, we are not going to the bank. I'm missing my friends in the bank, and it's not like that. It's also bragging is a big thing everywhere. My cousin is there in Bangalore, and they order everything online. Well, we are doing it here also in Kakkabe, which is the miles away from anywhere. We are ordering it, so we are getting it here delivered.
So how does this? Is it work on an app, or is it a phone call?
No,
How does?
We also realized right in the beginning that most of the ordering is done by the ladies or the parents because the children are in Bangalore.
Mhm.
Okay, so for them the most convenient thing is to that what you said, that the social interaction is very much there. They pick up the phone and call us up. Okay, and then the word typically goes, okay, translated to English. How are you, dear? How are you, daughter, son, whatever? What is happening? Did it rain in your village yesterday? Okay, incidentally, I want 2 kgs of onion and 1 kg of mutton from this particular meat stall. Then the conversation. So the social interaction is also met here. The bragging right is also met. That I ordered online. And the best thing is they'll say, okay, you bill it to me, and my son in Bangalore will make the payment. So the son is given a call, and son makes the UPI payment, and that's it. So it's
Wow.
all a nice
Okay.
thing, for them to talk to the neighbors that, look, I'm ordering from here, and from Vinajpet or Kakapet, they're coming and delivering it to home. And you know what? My son, he's sitting in Bangalore, or my daughter-in-law, she made the payment. It's a huge brag, no?
Right. And so you actually then operate a call center of sort to take the
Yeah, we offer
order.
the call center.
And
Yeah.
these people are not just receiving order, they're also engaging them in some kind of a
Yeah,
social conversation.
they have to engage them. They have to engage. Engaging is a
Okay.
very important part of it. You
Right.
just can't take somebody there. So see, this is what happens. You see, this local connect happens when you take a local person there.
Right. So, how many calls in a day do you handle in this?
We make about 80 to 100 calls a day.
80 to 100 calls.
Yes. Either 80 to 100 calls, either it is made or it is received. Total of 80 to 100 calls.
This is for one location?
For one location.
Okay.
Yeah. See, in fact, it's very funny. Our boys go for delivery, and when they come back, sometimes they come back with one bunch of banana, and things like that, because they said, "Oh, this thing is ripened, and I was wondering what to do with it." So you take it and go. You take it and go. And believe me, there are 2 instances where they actually came back with 2 pups, because they said, this boy said, "Nice pup." They said, "Okay, you want it? You're like my son. Only take the pup." You know. This is I don't know if you read this book, the small is beautiful and all those things. No, not Schumachers. There's this veterinary doctor. All things, little things like that, where he wrote about his rural experience in 1920s or 30s. He's a doctor in UK in the rural sector.
Okay.
Exactly like that. It's exactly like that. We're all family members. So sometimes they're going to Virajpet and then they decide, okay, we're going to drop in cat office. And of course, that becomes a big problem because they drop in and then they need to have a big chat with us, And so your boy, and he was half an hour late. So we have to understand a lot of things which, for example, see, when we have 10 orders.
Well, you know what? It's funny, but 20 years ago when I used to run Kannada.com,
Yeah.
I used to have people visiting us like that, and particularly people coming from abroad.
Yeah.
And it was a good feeling because those guys who come from abroad, they come home for a vacation, which is typically 3 to 4 weeks max.
Yes.
But they would keep half a day to visit Kannada.com office.
Yeah.
So we started engaging them and giving, if they come in the morning, some snacks. If they come in the afternoon, engage them with lunch or something, because
Yes.
it was a very good feeling actually. Though it takes away your time and all that, but I actually enjoyed that.
So
It was such a booster for what you're doing, right? That people
absolutely
value it.
Yeah. You see, you have to understand other things, For example, we have 10 orders which are queued. Now the 10th order has got 1 kg of mutton in that. Okay. So the 10th order takes priority now. So this is, you have to understand, why does a person order for mutton? Now he's having guest at home. So you cannot queue it now. That means he needs to prepare this mutton is required for lunch that day. Okay. So immediately the 10th fellow becomes the first person, and that mutton, whichever customer has ordered that mutton, and if he orders mutton, he'll say, okay, I want mutton, I want this biscuit, and this one loaf of bread with it, or 2 loaves of bread. Then that becomes priority, even if the order value is very less, because we know that there is a guest sitting at home, and
Is
these
it,
guys are waiting for it.
oh, okay. You just assume based on the order that, okay,
Yeah.
what's
So the instructions are very clear that if there is a mutton order there, then it becomes priority, because mutton cannot be delivered in the evening, because if he has ordered at 10 o'clock also, that means he's expecting the mutton to be there by 10:30 or 10:45, because he's got a guest coming there.
So is there every time you communicate that what is the time of delivery for each of the order?
No, we tell them that approximately this is the time we deliver. And many times they tell us, no, don't deliver it now, because I'll be out. I'll be going to my estate or my farm or whatever.
Okay, so that is agreed in the call itself.
Yeah.
The time of
So
delivery is
either you deliver it by 11 o'clock, or you come home by 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So that's okay with us. So these are all very, in the rural sector, you need a very personal touch. You have to know your customers by name, what is it, their requirement, and their nuances, everything. You just know everything.
And the security aspects of delivery guys is taken care of because they are local. So they are even perhaps familiar with those to whom they are delivering.
Everybody knows. In fact, when somebody dies, we also send condolences, because we know these people personally. Then we get these wedding orders and all those things, wedding orders, puja orders, and also you get wedding invitations. Suddenly you find on your table an invitation from somebody whom you have not heard of. Then you ask the office, who is this? Then they say, sir, this customer from this place. That means they've been buying from us. They want you to attend the wedding now.
And do you attend?
Of course we do.
Okay.
It has to be done, because this is a very, not just a rural thing, this is a very Indian thing. And I'm sure this is the same thing anywhere in the country. And this is the opportunity that we have got. This is something that a large funded organization or this big group may not be able to do this. The only thing.
Well, I think this was this is something I can still relate to. I've done different businesses, right? But only business I saw this kind of a thing. I used to get wedding invitations also in Kannada.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not in other businesses. I think, I don't know, maybe it was the cultural aspect or what, but yeah, we also used to get a lot of invites because we also had matrimonial part in the.com. So we used to actually get invitations because of that.
Yes.
So, but I thought that is all over, but interesting.
No,
so it still continues, not in the cities anymore.
In a place like Bangalore or Bombay or something, we try to pretend that we are not part of that world culture, but it doesn't really go on.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's not pretension anymore, but it's just that I think people, I think it's become very transactional. Though I buy 10 times, I would still look at it as a supplier. So probably that has come about here because life has got busy, right? You really want to prioritize with whom you want to socialize. Perhaps that is different in the rural area.
Yeah, so all this, there's a big gap, that this is the gap. One is the aspirations of the rural folks. People have to understand their aspirations. Number one, aspirations is not just about using a particular product. Aspiration is also how you use the product and how you get hold of the product.
But tell me something. This is obviously you are being very effective because you actually come from there. You understand the native culture. Your partners are also, most of them are from there.
All of them.
So it became easy. But how do you see the expansion now, right? Even, you're talking about even going to northeast of India, right? Not northeast of Karnataka, but even to the north of Karnataka, right? Don't you think this is very tough from replicating the same thing across?
No,
it's just not a copy-paste thing.
You go to train people and tell them this is not just an employment, this is an opportunity for you and you're with your people.
But so
Not with
expansion
your
is not going to be as quick, right? It's not
expansion
something
is
you
not
just.
going to be as quick. No. It's a startup, but as a startup, like a typical startup, we are not going to tell you that we are going to grow 3x in year on year.
Right. See, perhaps expansion can be fast if you can employ it in a where make it a little more decentralized, right? Uh, from a point of how we approach blockchain, right? If you
Yeah,
make it a very decentralized model where you make available perhaps your technology and some of the broad framework of your model, so that the very core of the local thing can be brought in by the local partners and they drive it. So I think only way a faster expansion for this or adoption is possible if you can operate in a decentralized model. But
of decision. It's when you go into North Karnataka or outside Karnataka, we got to understand this. What is what is the emotional factor in Kodagu is not, it may be a little bit the same thing in Hassan or Chikmagalur because we more or less
correct.
share the same
So
geographical type, but may
effectively,
not be in Bidar.
but correct. But for you, even Bidar or even Chikmagalur for that matter, because see, Chikmagalur is again a large land holding place, right? Unlike
Yeah.
Coorg, from a
Yeah.
point of estate ownership. The Coorg is very fractional ownership, whereas
Correct.
here it's much larger. So the mindset is again different because of that. So you can't have a manager from Chikmagalur or even Bidar perhaps, or even in Manipur if you look at some town. I'm not getting the name immediately. So
Yeah.
so you will need a local partner to drive the business there. So it
Yes.
can't be your
Yeah.
employee.
Of course, yes. It's a local partner itself. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So your
Absolutely.
business structuring, that whole organization design has to change from working with employees versus working with local partners. So it has to be some kind of a hybrid model of franchisee network,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
or a
Yes.
DAO in the Web3 sense, what we talk about as a distributed autonomous organization model. So it has to be a distributed model
It's
eventually for it to expand.
it will be a franchisee network, but with us taking a very very small percentage of it. Okay, because our see the issue.
So in a distributed model, essentially it has to go
Yes,
about it in a
it's a
distributed model.
distributed model. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, like what you said, it's a blockchain type thing. That has to be like that.
Yeah. So in fact, there's a huge opportunity to do tokenization also here. So
I
yeah.
think we'll get to you for that. Yes. Yeah.
Right. There
Yeah.
is incidentally, even Anup in Isamuddha is talking about tokenization. So, but
Okay.
in our conversation, there is one part of the conversation where we talk about it. So the audience or listeners do look up if you have missed that conversation. So they're also looking at it. So I think it's worth exploring. Well, Machayya, thank you so much for sharing this perspective. But I still, is there any flags that you want to raise from the future point of view in this context? Is there a flag that you want to raise as in this business, either ways, from a point of future? How
Uh,
I mean,
Actually, it's a
to
very very
watch your
interesting
back,
question.
right? Watch your six. If you say, what would you want to say that going forward, not watch your six, watch your 12? What do you say?
Yeah, it's out of curiosity. In ChatGPT, you go and ask what is that person in this type of belt is going to be thinking. We get the answers.
Oh, you do? Okay, I've not tried it.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course we do. Yeah. So, but right now the idea is basically keep going organically because from what I see, technological leapfrogging happens once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
For Earlier, it would happen once in 100 years. Some vaccine would be invented, designed, something. Then the computers came, and it stayed like that for about 20, 30 years. Then the internet came. And now AI is taken off in a very large way. Whatever we planned last year is not valid this year anymore, thanks to the AI part. And I think if I have to talk about the future, really speaking, we have to, our local understanding plus the AI, I don't know how we are going to do it. Otherwise, the idea was to go linearly, organically growing. May not be possible. It may have to take some sort of disruption. I think it will take some sort of disruption. I think all the models that is currently in this world, whether it is our rural delivery model or any other model or any other business, is going to take some sort of disruption in some form. And I'm not even talking about in 2 years, 3 years. I'm thinking it is going to take maybe in the next 5-6 months. The type of employment that will be lost, the type of employment that will be generated, the type of businesses that is going to close down, the type of business that is going to come up, which was unimaginable 1 year back. These things are going to happen, and same thing is going to happen with Kodagu Trade and Commerce, Cat Kodagu, with Growth Hyphen, with my earlier company, Digital Book Stores, D-Book Stores, and all these things. So today is a very funny situation where at least I cannot really say, yes, tomorrow is the future and tomorrow is going to look like that. That's going to be very difficult. 1 year back, had you asked me, what do you think? I would say, yeah, AI is there, it is there, but it can do only this many things, and it is going to be more or less like this. Okay, all my life, whether we went to digital at one point of time or when we went, to make a book chapter-wise to digital or to rural thing or to start growth hyphen, it was always about seeing the current and seeing the future. But today with AI, I think a lot of things have changed. Seeing the future is not going to be that easy. Maybe after 6 months, we all will have a more concrete idea of what the future is going to be like. Till then, I think we just got to go with the flow and see where it leads to.
Well, in that, for this context, I'll settle for your responses. We'll go with the try and see how the things will go. But for my next conversation, you will have to put your neck out to say, okay, this is where you think the future is heading. And till we get back to that conversation, get into that conversation, thank you so much for sharing your present journey. Wish you all the very best for each of these initiatives. And those of you who I'm sure enjoyed this conversation, and if you had missed the first part of the conversation, it's very exciting, particularly from the context of publishing books to publishing individual chapters. As revolutionary as it sounds, he made money doing it and also exited the business. So go there, catch up with that, and also share it with others. And till we come and bring him back to one more conversation on gazing the future with our Friday Future episode, enjoy the ride. Thank you so much.